The Cybrarian presents The Knucklevee, a Scottish folktale. Images courtesy of Unsplash.com. Audio samples courtesy of YouTube Audio Library. Suitable for all ages. Oh, dearie, dearie me, the nights are fair drawn in and it's gey cold. Now, since it's dark for longer, we've spoken to you of wee Scots beasties, the good and the bad, but now the worst. Today we'll tell you of the Knucklevee, an awful Orkney monster. The Knucklevee. The Knucklevee is a unique and solitary horse-like demon from Orkney that combines equine and human elements, so they say. It has its origins in the Norse mythology, and it is the nastiest of all demons of Scotland's Northern Isles. The Knucklevee has evil powers, including a breath that was thought to wilt crops and sicken livestock. And the creature was held responsible for droughts and epidemics on land, despite being predominantly a sea-dwelling beast. Now the Orkney Islanders, they were terrified and would not speak the name of the Knucklevee without immediately saying a prayer. And this was often found in the vicinity of a beach or coast, but it would never come ashore if it was raining. Luckily, it oft rains on the Scottish Isles. Now, the Orkneymen's folklore had a strong Scandinavian influence because of Vikings and so on. And it may be that the Knucklevee is a composite of a water horse from Celtic mythology and a creature imported by Norsemen. As with similar malevolent entities such as the Kelpie that we have told you of, it possibly offered an explanation for incidents that the islanders in ancient times could not otherwise understand. The form of the Knucklevee was first recorded in the 16th century on the Orkney island of Stronsay, from the Latin manuscript of Job N. Now how it looks is this: they are strongly built and stand nearly 6 feet tall at their horse head and about 9 feet at their human head, with a weight of nearly 2,000 pounds. And it resembles a horse whose legs are part fin like a fish, and it has a single giant eye which burns with a red fire. A human, a man with a large head merged along the back of the horse body like a strange, grotesque hybrid akin to a centaur is what it's like. The most gruesome detail of its appearance is the fact that it has no skin, and black blood courses through yellow veins, and the pale sinews and powerful muscles are visible as a pulsating mass. It has long ape-like arms that hang down to the ground, and from its gaping mouth spews forth a foul black reek. All in all, not a pleasant sight to encounter on some lonely stretch of coastline. Now where do we get the word Knucklevee, the etymology as it were? The term Knucklevee derives from the Orcadian Knucklevee, which in turn seems to be a variant of knock or nuggle, and is thus related to the Icelandic Nikur. According to Orkney residents and the 19th century folklorist Walter Trail Dennison, it means the devil of the sea. The same demon is called a Knucklevee in Shetland, where it was considered a nasty sea trow or devil. Samuel Hibbert, an antiquarian of the early 19th century, considered the component Knuck of the Knucklevee's name to be cognate with both Nick and Old Nick, a name given to the devil of Christian belief, and with the Latin Nicare, to kill. Now, must be very wary of the Knucklevee and try and find a way of restraining it, and by its confinement may ye get away. The Knucklevee is the most malevolent of the demons in and around the islands, with no redeeming characteristics. The only entity able to control the Knucklevee is the Mither of the Sea, an ancient spirit in Orcadian mythology who keeps the Knucklevee confined during the summer months. In common with other mythical sea monsters, with the possible exception of kelpies and the Nuggle of Shetland, it is unable to wade through fresh flowing water, and therefore it can be escaped by crossing a stream. Now, the old practice of burning gathered seaweed to make kelp was said to cause terrible offence to the Knucklevee. The creature could not stand the smell of the pungent smoke, as it drove him into an extreme and diabolical rage. In this state, the creature would vent its wrath by smiting all the horses on the island of Stronsay, the island where kelp was first burned in Orkney, with a deadly disease known as mortasheen, the Knucklevee's legacy. Once propagated, mortasheen would soon spread through the island where kelp was burned. Knucklevee's revenge was terrible and complete. The creature's powers were also blamed for prolonged periods of abnormally low rainfall, leading to water shortages, poor harvests, and the tale of it not coming ashore during the rain. And in its rage, the Knucklevee would kill fields of cattle, and the only one that can stop it is the Mither of the Sea. Now, as we have mentioned before, Walter Trail Denison of Sandy set down terrifying knowledge of the beasts who roamed both land and sea. The Knucklevee was a monster of unmixed malignity, never willingly resting from doing evil to mankind. Denison wrote that in the Scottish Antiquary in 1891, 3 years before his death. Denison claimed to have met an Orkney farmer, Thomas, who had encountered the Knucklevee late one night whilst wandering home. And the man was very reticent to talk on the subject, and only after much haggling and persuasion did he tell his tale. Now, Thomas, like his namesake Tam O'Shanter by the Burns, was out late one night. It was, though moonless, a fine star-lit bonny Scottish night, and Thomas's road lay close by the seashore, and as he entered a part of the road that was hemmed on one side by the sea and on the other by a deep freshwater loch, he saw some huge object in front of him and moving towards him. Surely this was no earthling on the approach, and Thomas resorted to a quick prayer. What was he to do? Surely it was no earthly thing that was steadily coming towards him. He could go to neither side, and to turn his back on an evil thing he had heard was the most dangerous position of all. So Tam said to himself, "The Lord be about me and take care of me, as I am out on no evil intent this night." And Tammy was always regarded as rough and foolhardy. Anyway, he determined, as the best of two evils, to face the foe. and so walked resolutely yet slowly forward. He soon discovered, to his horror, that the gruesome creature approaching him was none other than the dreaded Knucklevee, the most cruel and malignant of all uncanny beings that troubled mankind. As Thomas described, the lower part of this terrible monster was like a great horse with flappers like fins about its legs, with a mouth as wide as a whale's, from which came breath like steam from a brewing kettle. He had but one eye, which was as red as fire, and on him sat, or rather seemed to grow from his back, a huge man with no legs, and arms that reached nearly to the ground. His head was as big as a clue of Simmons, and this huge head kept rolling from one shoulder to the other, as if it meant to tumble off. But to what Tammy appeared most horrible of all was that the monster was skinless, its utter want of skin adding much to the terrific appearance of the creature's naked body, the whole surface of it showing only red, raw flesh, in which Thomas saw blood, black as tar, running through yellow veins, and great white sinews, thick as horses' tethers, twisting and stretching and constricting as the monster moved. Tammy went slowly on in mortal terror, his hair on end, a cold sensation like a film of ice between his scalp and his skull, and a cold sweat bursting from every pore. But he knew it was useless to flee, and he said if he had to die, he would rather see who killed him than die with his back to the foe. In all his terror, Tammy remembered what he had heard of the Knucklevee's dislike of fresh water, and therefore took that side of the road nearest the loch. The awful moment when the lower head of the monster got abreast of Tammy, the mouth of the monster yawned open like a bottomless pit. Tammy found its hot breath like fire on his face, and long arms stretched out to seize the unhappy man. To avoid, if possible, the monster's clutch, Tammy swerved as near as he could to the loch. In doing so, one of his feet splashed in, splashing water up onto the foreleg of the monster, whereat the beast gave a snort like thunder and sheered over to the other side of the road, and Tammy felt the wind of the Knucklevee's clutches as he narrowly escaped the monster's grip. Tammy saw his opportunity and ran with all his might, and sore need had he to run, for the Knucklevee had turned and was galloping after him, and bellowing with a sound like the roaring of the sea. In front of Tammy lay a rivulet, through which the surplus water of the loch found its way to the sea, and Tammy knew if he could only cross the running water he'd be safe, so he strained every nerve. As he reached near the bank, another clutch was made at him by the long arms. Tammy made a desperate spring, reaching the other side, leaving his bonnet in the monster's clutches. The Knucklevee gave a wild, unearthly yell of disappointed rage as Tammy fell senseless on the safe side of the water, bereft of his bonnet. Who knows? Maybe the Knucklevee took to wearing his bonnet. It's unlikely. I can't see a Knucklevee in a hat. So mind yourselves and mind your bonnets when you're near the coast of Scotland. Well, well, well. We wish you the best of the season, and we wish you never to meet a Knucklevee. When we have more tales to tell you, haste you back. thank you for listening. This has been a Cybrarian production of The Knucklevee, a Scottish folktale. For updates, follow Vane Studios on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Images courtesy of unsplash.com. Audio samples courtesy of YouTube Audio Library. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell of the Cybrarian YouTube channel. And if you're feeling generous, buy us a coffee to support our work. All links in the description.